in this tutorial, we are going to explore using Google Sheets. Now, this is not a comprehensive webinar on Google Sheets. I'm just going to go over some of the basic features of Sheets and some of the probably everyday useful functions that you'll have for Sheets. And this is by far not a really in-depth look at Sheets. I'm already in my Google Drive and signed into my Google Drive, and I'm going to go ahead and start with creating a new Google Sheet that I'll access by my plus new button here on the side. From Google Sheets, I have an option of either creating a blank sheet or a sheet from a template. In this case, we're going to start with the blank spreadsheet. Google Sheets is very similar to Microsoft Excel. If you're familiar with using that spreadsheet program, it does have a lot of the same features. You are able to download your Google Sheet as an Excel sheet by going to the File menu and going to Download As. It is one of your options. You are also able to download your sheets in a number of different formats as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Like the other Google applications, right? Everything saves automatically within Sheets as it does within Docs and Slides. And you'll find that all you have to do is just type in your title for your spreadsheet. So we'll just call this a test sheet. And now we have a title for our spreadsheet, which automatically is saved. Next to the title, you'll see a star to be able to add this spreadsheet to your starred items within your drive for easy access. Or if you would like to move your sheet to a different folder within your drive, you are also able to do that. That's easy access features right within the toolbar. Other options within our toolbar. Up at the top, you've got your view history. If I share this spreadsheet with other viewers, I'm able to actually see who opened and accessed the sheet. So that's there through my activity dashboard, as well as my comment history. Any comments that were made on this sheet, I'll be able to view by accessing the comment history. When I share my sheet, as I can with all of my other G Suite tools, I can either share it with specific people and decide whether I want them to have editing options or just viewing options, or I can just get a shareable link that I can just share the link itself instead of actually going ahead and individually choosing who I want to be able to access my sheet with. By default, it's going to share it within your organization. If you want to be able to share outside of your organization, then you just click on the More option and you will be able to get a link that anybody who has the link will be able to access, and it does not just restrict you to your organization. So some basic features within our toolbar. You've got your undo and your redo options, as well as your print options. This allows you to set what kind of format you want the data to show up within your cells. So if I'm putting in currency, I can choose this. And so anything that I type into my sheet would then be already formatted to be within currency. Just as if I want it to be a percentage, if I want to add decimal places, I have all of these other formats to choose from depending on what I want. I can format it in different ways within my sheet. I can also, of course, change my font and my font size within my sheet, add bolding or italics. I can fill the color within my cells, add borders, alignment. I can change the direction of my text within my sheet cells. I can add links. This is my insert comment feature that I can insert a comment within specific cells if I want to comment on something. Inserting charts. If I want to create filter views, if I want to view my sheet specifically by specific columns or rows, I can create a filter view. So when I open up my sheet, I'm only looking at it with that specific filter. And this is my function option where I can add functions. We've already got pre-built-in common functions as of summing and averaging, and you also have all of the other options that are available within Sheets. Something useful with functions, if you go to the Help menu and go to function list, you will actually be able to see a description of all of the different functions within Sheets, which is useful because you may want to do something within your sheet, but you're not really sure what the function name might be for it. So this chart allows you to go through and it explains what each function does. So once you find the one that you need, you are able to use it within your sheet. So using that help menu is actually really great, especially with Google Sheet, where sometimes it can be a little confusing if you're not too familiar with it. Within the rest of our options in our menu bar here, our file menu, I showed you the download as option already. You are also able to see the version history option, which is something that you'll find within Docs, Sheets, and Slides, where you can see the different versions of the document already. So if I just go ahead, I'm going to switch over to a sheet that already has some information in it so we can kind of use the rest of our features. So from here, if I go into the version history and see version history, I will then be able to look at all of the different changes and edits that have been made to this form within the sheet. And if I ever want to restore a previous version of my sheet, I can do that by just accessing the version history. Within your file menu, you also have the ability to naturally delete and move to trash your sheet if you need to, email collaborators within your sheet, and also be able to change the settings of your spreadsheet. Your edit bar allows you to cut and paste any information within your cells. You also have the option, if you are pasting information into your cells, you just want to paste the values themselves and not change any formatting, or if you want to actually paste the formatting as well within your cell. That's up to you. You can move your rows up and down or delete rows and values within your edit bar. Viewing, freezing. You are able to freeze rows and columns, meaning that I can make sure that certain rows always appear and I can scroll up and down the rest of my data. So for example, this sheet that I have opened already has these first two rows frozen. So anything that I scroll down to, I can see all of the rest of my information, but these rows are always frozen. And that's what the freeze option lets you to do. It's really great when you have a lot of data that you want to go through, but you have a heading bar at the top that you would like to continue viewing no matter how much you go through the data. So that's what the freeze is for. You can either unfreeze it by no rows and everything will go back to normal, or I can freeze the first two rows or as many rows if I want to. It'll customize it to whatever it is that I need. I can also change if I want to be able to view the grid lines, if I want to be able to see the formula bar at the top. So I can customize my screen to however it is that I want to view my spreadsheet. That makes most sense to me. That's more comfortable for myself to use. With the insert option, I am able to insert rows and columns. I can shift cells up and down. I'm able to insert images. I can either insert images that are going to go within the cell. So if I want to actually add images inside a cell, I can do so. Or I can insert an image that's going to go right over the spreadsheet itself. And so it's not going to be contained to any particular cell. I can also insert charts, drawings. I can insert my functions. As I saw my function bar here at the toolbar, you also have that option from the drop-down menu. I can go ahead and insert checkboxes if I want to create checkboxes within my Google Sheet that I can check off if I'm doing some kind of to-do list and I want to be able to insert checkboxes. I can do so by clicking the checkbox option, and then a checkbox is going to go ahead and appear within my cell. Additionally, I can also add a new sheet to my file. It would also let me do that from the insert option or from my Google Sheet itself. The plus sign at the bottom will actually let me add a sheet to my file already. And if I click on that plus sign, a new sheet will be added to the file already. You can see it here from the top. I can move it to wherever it is that I want. And if I click on that drop down menu, I'm allowed to rename that particular sheet at the bottom. I'm able to change the color of the sheet. And I'm also able to, if I wanted to actually duplicate a previous sheet, I can do that from the drop down menu as well. When I click duplicate, it'll just duplicate that same sheet from before. So moving on to our next options, the data option. The data option allows me to sort my sheet either from ascending or descending order. It's not necessarily just alphabetical, but if I want to sort my sheet depending on a specific data set, I can just go ahead and choose whichever column I want to sort my sheet by, whichever information I want to sort my sheet by, and I can either go through data and go through sorting, or if I click on the column and just hover over it, I'll see that there is a drop down menu with that arrow. And from here, I'm also able to sort my sheet. So if I go ahead and click on sorting the sheet, then it's going to sort my sheet from ascending or descending order, depending on what the data values are. So if I wanted to sort my sheet by, if I was viewing responses and I wanted to see the newest responses first, those usually come at the bottom. So I would sort my sheet from Z to A, and that would let me see the newest responses at the top of my sheet if I was accessing that information. So it really depends on whatever it is that you want to view, but that's how I would sort my sheet, depending on whatever information I want to sort my sheet by. From this drop-down menu that we see from within the cell, from within the column as well, we have the sorting options. I can also insert columns left and right or delete the columns. I'm also able to hide my column. So if I'm viewing the sheet and there's information that I don't really need and I'm just looking at specific information, I can hide my columns, so it makes it a lot easier to read while I'm viewing my sheet. Within the data dropdown, there is also an option for data validation. And this is something that I want to go ahead and go over because sometimes you might create something on a sheet and you want it to have a drop-down menu for easy access. And one way of doing that is from listing a bunch of items, right? So let's say if I wanted to create a drop-down menu for a cell that I wanted to be able to choose from different options. At this choice, let's go ahead and just use colors this time. You see that I'm separating everything by a column, by a comma. But the comma allows me to separate my items, and that way it lets the sheet know that these are the different items that I want to be able to put into my cell. Now I want to add this. Let me cancel this for a second because I don't want to mess up my form that I have here. So if I just wanted to do it within this column, I wanted to add my data validation. So list from items. That's ready to go. And I'm going to save that. And now you see that my column has this drop-down menu. And if I click on that drop-down menu, all of the items that I used, that I put in separated by commas are there. And I can select whichever one I want. So that's what you can do with the data validation option. If I wanted to create a drop-down list, that's how I would do it within my sheet. And if I wanted to go in and edit or add more, all I would have to do is just click on it and go into data validation and just edit the options that I have in there already. Another option within the data menu, protected sheets and range. If I want to protect my sheet, either the entire sheet or just specific columns or cells within my sheet, I can do that by just restricting access to people. So if I only want certain people to be able to edit certain parts of my sheet, I can do that by setting these protected sheets and ranges. I can go ahead and either do it as a range of just specific cells that I want, and I can set those permissions by allowing specific people to view it, or I can do it as the whole entire sheet itself. So that is up to you depending on what you want to have done. Within data, one last thing, you also have this new option where you can remove duplicates. So if I select a column and I have a whole bunch of data in there and I want to be able to remove whatever duplicates might be in that data, I can do that by just selecting remove duplicates. The tools menu will allow me to create a form within my sheet. If I wanted to create a form that's linked to this sheet, I can. I also do have spelling and spell check options that I can enable or disable within my sheet. If I happen to create a form, I can go in and edit the form from within my sheet as well. And I'm talking about more about forms in a different video that I have. So you can tune into that video tutorial if you want to learn more about Google Forms. And then we have the add-ons option, which exists for sheets and forms and slides. And these add-ons are created by developers and they work within the Google Sheet. So depending on what it is that I'm looking for, I can go to the Get Add-ons section, and that'll open up a menu which will let me browse or search for specific add-ons that I can include in my sheet, and therefore all of those add-ons will eventually show up within my Google Sheet. So basically, these are the common functions within Google Sheets that you're probably going to be using on an everyday basis. Like I said, this was not going to be a comprehensive look into the different tools that you can have within Google Sheets. The function tool, I can quickly just show you that all you will have to do is if you have data that you want to be able to apply a function, you just have to select the data that you're looking for. So if I wanted to be able to use this form right here, these three cells, I want to be able to add those together. If I click on sum and enter, all of a sudden you'll see that now I have the actual sum of those three cells. So that's just quickly how to insert using the functions. You just highlight whatever it is that you want and just apply whatever function it is that you're looking for. Another quick trick, if you have data that you need the same data across down a column or across a row, one easy way to do it is just go ahead and put in the data that you need, and you know you need to have that same data for the next 5 cells. Highlight them all and press Control D, and that automatically is going to fill in your cells with what you need. So that's just some kind of quick tips with using those two forms within Google Sheets. So I hope this helped kind of give you a quick understanding of using Google Sheets, and you can start playing around with it. And tune in next time for my next tutorial. Thanks for watching.